makers, and welcome back to 3D printed soup. Now, I've always wanted an arcade machine. It's kind of the dreams you have when you're a kid, is to own an arcade machine and have all your friends around. You can take turns on a free game where you get all the wonderful graphics of the arcade. Unfortunately, I live in the UK, and our arcade culture back in the 80s and 90s was a little bit different to the ones in America. You didn't have thousands of arcades everywhere, and there weren't every kind of arcade machine you can imagine. Our arcades were a bit dingier. They had dingier carpet, they had fag burns on the arcade machines. The screens were a bit burnt out, and there were nowhere near as many of them. And also they were in tiny grubby rooms where people smoked. So the chance of finding a decent 80s or 90s arcade machine are pretty much nil, because yeah, they've all got broken or been snapped up by people who actually bought them back in the 90s or 2000s, and they've left very little for the rest of us. But however, that's where Chinese mass production comes in, and there's dozens of options to get arcade machines which are replicas. They're slightly smaller, slightly cheaper, and they basically won't burn your house down, which is nice. I found a company called Arcade1up, which everyone has been, first of all, absolutely loving for the first 3-4 years they were going, and now the tide has turned, and of course all the people who used to love them are now jumping on the let's hate Arcade1up bandwagon. Perfect, you can pick up cheap Arcade1up machines. So I found a second-hand one in my area. It's a Mortal Kombat 2 Legacy one, as a Midway arcade, and yeah, I brought it home and I liked it. But there's a few things wrong with it. It's not tall enough. There's holes drilled in the side of it where you put the screws in which aren't covered, and there's a whole load of other bits and pieces which I'd rather weren't on it. That's where 3D printing comes in. So I've had a dig around on Thingiverse and Yegi and 3D Cults and all the other wonderful places you can get STL 3D files from, and I have found some ways of making it taller, better, faster, stronger, to misquote Daft Punk. So let's go ahead and see if we can't 3D print ourselves some arcade machine parts and augmentations to make Arcade1up a little bit more arcade and a little bit less cheap-ass IKEA. Let's give this a try. So this is the Mortal Kombat 2 Legacy arcade machine from Arcade1up, and yeah, it's a nice thing. It's got bright colours, it's got some really nice graphics to it. It looks like an arcade machine, just a little bit smaller. But as with anything which is built on a budget, it's got a few flaws. And I'm sure with 3D printing we can probably fix them. The first issue I've got is it's on a riser. And yeah, that makes it 4 feet tall. I'm 6 feet tall. That ain't going to work. I'm going to be playing hunched, and yeah, that's going to kill my back. Second issue, you've got these screw holes where you put the screws in to hold the thing together. They go straight for the graphics and show up like a sore thumb. So yeah, if we can fix those, that would also be fantastic, because they just make it look a bit ugly and they take you out of it. Nothing I can do about the light up marquee, unfortunately. But the thing I can fix, hopefully, is this. You have got this coin door sticker on the front. And yeah, it's supposed to make it look like it's got a coin door, but no, it just looks like a cheap sticker. Now, I'm sure there's some way I can 3D print myself a really nice coin door to go over this and make up for the fact that they've put this horrible, cheap-looking sticker on the front that I really can't get on with. And finally, you've got the control mountings here. They've decided to make these recessed, and if this was a big full-size arcade machine, it would be fine, but because it isn't, when I'm playing, I have to put my hands here, and of course, after a couple of hours playing, if I just push my hand down here, you get this lovely line on your hands, and yeah, no, those need to be raised up, and I'm sure we can find some kind of booster or repair to get that fixed. So as usual, I've had a look on all the usual sites, Thingiverse, 3D Cults and Yegi, and I have found some really nice solutions for the coin door, for the height, and for the screw holes on the sides. So without any further ado, let's print these out, paint them, and see if we can't make this replica look a bit more like the real arcade machine it's meant to be. Right, first we're going to work on is the coin door on the front. I hate that sticker, and I hate the fact that the deluxe versions of some cabinets have a plastic moulded one, but ours come with a sticker. So I found a lovely file online, and I'm going to try printing this out and see how it looks. And yep, here it goes. It's very, very nice. It's a little bit small. Let's try it on the front. Give it a paint and give it a try. And yeah, it's too tiny. That looks ridiculous. I could spray the front black and put it on there, but I think it's a bit small. So let's try and find a larger file if we can. Okay, I found this one on 3D Cults, links in the description below. And yeah, it prints off in 2 parts and it makes a much bigger version of the coin door for the front. And yeah, this comes off absolutely lovely. I'll print these out and then we'll see how that fits on. You can also print out a little sign on the front that says Arcade1up or Midway or whichever version you want. And there's matching buttons as well, so we'll get those printed up, get this painted and see what this turns out like and see if it looks a little bit better than the tiny one I printed out earlier. And with the door printed, we just need to adhere it to the front. I'm just going to use some simple double-sided sticky tape just to get this put on the front. The nice thing about that is, once it's adhered with the double-sided sticky tape, it won't tear off the sticker if I take it off again, as it sticks firm but doesn't actually bond to the sticker. I'll put the buttons in as well. Okay, let's see how that looks. Yeah, that is a much better size, and yeah, it looks a lot nicer. Let's do a quick pan around here and give it a look. Yep, I've got the Midway on the front here because I'm printing out Mortal Kombat, so they made Mortal Kombat. So yeah, it looks very nice with the Midway logo I've painted. And there is the buttons. I've just printed these on rough because I'm going to print those out translucent later on and see if I can't put some lights on. But that's another project. Now we've got the holes in the side of the cabinet where the drills go in. So let's print these out, and these are little screw covers. They just pop on. There's other stuff you get with IKEA furniture, but they're designed purely to fit the holes that the manufacturer leaves on the side of the Arcade1up cabinet. So print these out, give them a paint, and make sure they match the areas which I'm going to be covering with them, and then we'll see how they look. And yeah, these should be just the ticket. Let's slap some paint on them so they match. Just using some black for the usual side ones. It's a matte black called a Baden Black. You get lovely coverage with these paints, and there's a nice light blue to go over the lightning parts, and then I'll do a nice beige in a second to go over the parts of the cabinet which have Raiden's robe on them. And installing these couldn't be easier. They are exact matches for the holes on the side of the cabinet. So let's start from the top and work down. This bit's got a black section there, so we're going to put a black one in there. Pop him on, and it just pops straight in, holds it nicely. It's not too loose, not too tight. Got a blue bit here, so yeah, I'll put a blue stopper in there. There we go. And just think, you could pay an extra $200–300 and you could get the exact same thing with the their latest deluxe cabinets, or just print your own. See, barely noticeable. And another one down here which needs a cream one. Pop it in. And finally, I think we've got a black one here. I was wondering whether it could be blue or black, but I think black suits it better, that bit. Oh, line it up, pop it in, and there we go. Black, all done. And yeah. Oh, there's another one down here. I'll chuck a black one over that. Zoom out, and yeah, you can't see a thing there. These things cover those ugly holes really nicely, and you've got all the lovely artwork without any of the distracting Phillips head screws sticking out. Yeah, very happy with those. Lovely design. Thanks to the guys who designed that. Links in the description for you guys to print yourselves. Right, next up, we're going to print ourselves some risers for the control panel. As I said earlier, the control panel has got this weird sort of indent. It's about maybe 5mm lower than the outside of the arcade cabinet, so you get this strange step, which will be okay on a regular size arcade cabinet, but one which is 3/4 size, it sticks up. As you can see here, if you put your hand there, it really is quite painful after an hour or so of playing. And yeah, you can find yourself dragging your hand across it. It's also going to get that red stuff off. So I printed some risers. Let's quickly remove the control panel here. And under the sleek black control panel, you've got some raw bits of fiberboard or MDF. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's not real wood and it looks ugly as sin, and that's what holds the control deck down. So we're going to remove this and then we'll replace them with the 3D printed parts I've made and give ourselves a few extra inches of height. Now this mod doesn't use any extra pieces, you just use the same screws which you took out of the machine, put the new 3D printed risers in and screw them back in, and you also use the same inserts which you screw the control board into on the top. You just pop those out and put those back in here. I'm actually going to print my own ones out later, so I'm going to leave those out for now. And if you ever want to change this back, it's simple. All you do is you just take these screws out and put the regular bits of wood back, and you can put the original control panel brackets back in. And with that done, you just connect the control deck back onto the motherboard using this ribbon cable. Careful with that because ribbon cables are delicate. Pop this back in. And there, that looks a lot better. It's not 100% flush, but you don't want it to be because you'll start peeling the sticker off on the edge of the control board. But yeah, it's not going to irritate you as much. You're not going to get that lovely line in your hands. You've been playing for a few hours. And because these control decks are quite small and you're always sort of leaning up against the other guy, it's much nicer to be able to have your hand leaning over the edge without it getting caught on the side, so that you don't get in each other's way when you're playing that final match and trying to get a double flawless on your idiot friend who you've just beaten the hell out of. Yeah, this is much better. I'm very happy with that. The one drawback of this mod is the gap between the front plate and the control panel, but I think with a little bit of tape on there, a little bit of carpet tape or just another cut of wood, this will absolutely look lovely. So yeah, I'm very happy with that, and it makes it just play so much better. And yeah, not having that little lip just makes it look good as well. Next up is the height of the thing. It's about 4 feet tall, and as I say, I'm 6 foot, so it's just a little bit of a pain. Plus, anyone over 5'10", the top of the marquee just means that you can't see the whole screen unless you stoop, which isn't particularly cool. So yeah, I'm printing out these lovely little riser extensions which go between the cabinet itself and the riser to give you an extra couple of inches of height. Now these fit in all 4 corners of the riser, and as you can see, it just fits in there. I mean, you can cut these down so it just gives you a small amount of height, but I want this thing to be about 5 feet tall, so I have left them the full size. I've taped them in because I'm not sure if I want to actually use them permanently yet. I don't want them to be screwed in if I'm not going to. And you just lift the arcade machine, forgive the jogging bottoms, and place it straight on the top, and they just line up and you put it straight on there and they sit on comfortably in the top. And they're not going to shift around because it's a square peg going into a square hole. So yeah, line them up, and yeah, this gives it a lovely extra few inches of height. And with that done, the Mortal Kombat cabinet now stands at precisely 5 feet tall, which is much better than the sort of the 4 foot it was beforehand. So with those simple mods applied, this thing is a lot more usable. The sides look nicer as we no longer have those ugly bore holes through the lovely Raiden art. The control deck is a lot higher, so you don't have those lips at the side, and it's much easier to rest your hands on. It's much taller, which is absolutely brilliant, and you got the lovely coin door at the front as well, which means that it looks a lot more like an arcade machine and a lot less like a replica. I'm going to put an extra bit of timber at the front there to cover that hole, and I'm going to paint the risers black, but I haven't decided if I'm going to keep those yet. So at the moment, I'm very, very happy with this. It's taller, looks more professional, and it's a lot easier to use. So, 3D printing rescues another project. And with that done, I have a much taller, much slicker, much easier to use, and just basically more pleasant arcade experience with my Mortal Kombat arcade machine. And I think I might buy myself another one as well to go along next to it, and possibly hack and then install games on. But hey, why would you not when they stick an open USB connection on it? But yes, my Mortal Kombat machine I'm going to leave stock. I love the fact that it's now 5 feet tall. I love the fact that the control panel is now a little higher. And I love the fact that it just looks a little bit nicer with the coin door in the front and all the holes filled in with properly nicely printed and painted plugs. All the links you need for this project are down below. Feel free to use them. They're really, really good guys, and there's some really, really nice prints there. If you do use them, don't forget to leave them a thumbs up and a comment on the relevant website. Also, thanks to everyone who's liked to subscribe this month. Loads and loads more of you as always. If you haven't subscribed, please drag your cursor down, click the subscribe button, and give me a thumbs up to say I make some good content. Hope you like the new background and the new studio. It's a bit bigger echoey in here, as you can hear, but I get some sound cancelling panels to stick up because, yeah, this is a bit bigger studio than I'm used to. Stay happy and safe. Keep printing.